Hi guys, welcome to my channel where we talk about everything from tech to films and all the fun stuff in between. So you finally decided to upgrade to a new iPhone this year but are not sure on which version to get, especially when you can also get that last year models at reduced cost. Let me see if I can help you with this. The current iPhone lineup which Apple officially sells on their sites are the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Pro, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, the iPhone XR and the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Yes, Apple still sells that 2-year-old iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. 2 years, which usually was equivalent to about 10 mobile phone development years before. This used to be true, but now phones have got to that point in development that any improvements introduced with newer versions are only meant to do something which the phone already does but only slightly better, like better camera or faster processor or better security options, etc. That's why the 8 and 8 Plus still makes sense in 2019, even when the phones still retain big bezels on the top and bottom, and that is to accommodate the Apple's awesome Touch ID. Let's look at the main thing which matters on these phones, which is the cost. £479 gets you entry into the iPhone world, giving you that iPhone 8 at 4.8 inches screen size, and adding £100 more gives you the 8 Plus with the larger 5.5 inch display with a dual camera setup instead of the single lens on the iPhone 8. £50 more than the 8 Plus at £629 gives you last year's best-selling iPhone, the iPhone XR. £100 more than the XR at £729 gets you the latest iPhone 11 which was launched September this year. The next final step up is a whopping £320 more than the iPhone 11, which gives you the iPhone 11 Pro starting at £1049, and £100 more than that at £1149 gives you the high-end Pro Max. All phones come with a base storage of 64GB, and you can add more storage at additional cost with a max of 512GB on the iPhone 11 Pros. I know most people, especially here in the UK, including myself, would like to buy these phones on contracts rather than paying upfront cost for the entire device. Here are a few entry price deals which I found on the phones, which gives you a rough figure of how much you are looking to spend monthly in order to buy one of these phones. Let's look at some of the key features of these devices, the features which really matter in real life usage on all of these phones. First up is speed. The iPhone 8 series get the A11 Bionic chip with neural engine. The XR gets the A12 Bionic chip, and all the iPhone 11s get the newest A13 Bionic chip introduced September 2019. In general terms, all these phones pack really good processors and are incredibly fast devices, and all of them get the excellent latest Apple iOS 13 update. Next up is screen size. 8 comes in at 4.7 inch display and offers a plus size at 5.5 inches. The XR and 11 both come in at 6.1 inch displays, and the iPhone 11 Pros come in at 5.8 inches and 6.5 inches. Out of all of these, the 4.7 and 5.8 inch screen sizes are easy enough to use with one hand. I do have small to medium size hands, and I can barely manage my current iPhone X at 5.8 inch screen size. The 6.1 inch of XR and 11 also falls into this barely manageable category, but all the other plus sizes, one-handed use is not possible unless you have long hands and fingers. Next up is cameras, one of the main things which everyone looks for in a phone, and is probably the sole reason even to consider those higher end new iPhone Pro models. Let's start with the 8 and 8 Plus. Usually when Apple offers two different phone sizes, Both of them have got the same specs, apart from the larger one having a bigger battery. But this is not the case in the iPhone 8 series. The smaller size only comes with a single wide-angle 12mm pixel camera at the back, whereas the 8 Plus gets dual 12-megapixel wide and telephoto cameras at the rear. Front-facing is 7 million pixels on both of them, and both are capable of shooting full HD videos at 30 frames per second. The XR gets a single 12 million pixel wide angle camera at the back and 7 million pixel true depth camera at the front with the awesome Face ID and face depth sensors. The iPhone 11, which actually is the 2019 upgrade to that XR, get dual 12 megapixel cameras at the back, one wide and the other ultra wide cameras. Plus it has this low light mode which uses computational photography to make pictures taken in low light conditions look better. Front camera also gets an upgrade to 12 megapixels, and this allows you to take wide angle selfies. You can also record up to 4K using those front facing camera, and also record slow motion videos, which Apple is calling as slow fees. On all previous models, slow motion video capture was only possible on the rear cameras. The iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max get the same camera setup as above, but it adds an extra telephoto lens at the back, giving you that complete wide, ultra wide and closer perspectives from that new camera cluster. The iPhone camera system really got better from the iPhone 7 series, so all phones from that point on do shoot decent pictures, especially if you're a casual user shooting pictures and videos for personal or social media use and do not need that extra prowess of the latest and greatest phones. Your phones from 7 series on will work just perfectly fine. Next, let's talk security. This again, in my opinion, is one of the key features on mobile phones, as phones nowadays just do not hold contact information. They are sources for our passwords, they store bank details, credit card details, our personal information, etc. etc. Starting with the 8 and 8 Plus, these are the only phones that provide fingerprint readers concealed in that home button called Touch ID. All the other phones have swapped that for a true depth sensing system called Face ID, where you use your face to unlock the phones. My personal preference still is the Touch ID, as it worked perfectly in every situation. As Face ID, there are few instances where it didn't work, and sometimes it's a bit awkward to raise the phone to and point it to your face. But both are really excellent systems, not in just the iPhones but mobile phones in general. Next, let's talk about screen resolution. Even though it doesn't matter much on small screens, but still being stuck with a display which is not even full HD in 2019 is definitely a concern. Well, at least on paper. The iPhone 8, last year's iPhone XR and this year's iPhone 11 all have LCD display screens, and the resolution is somewhere upwards of 720p, which is not standard 1080p, which is considered as full HD display. Whereas the 8 Plus gets a full HD display screen at 1920 x 1080p pixel resolution. The iPhone Pros, on the other hand, have OLED screens at 458 ppi, which puts them somewhere about 2K resolution. As I mentioned, on paper, a screen which is not full HD sounds bad in 2019, where phones are actually pushing up to 4K screens nowadays. But in day-to-day usage, even that non-HD Apple LCD screens are so brilliantly calibrated that you do not notice much difference. You need to place the LCD and OLED screen side by side and crank up the brightness to maximum to notice any difference. Next, let's look at battery life. The XR from last year performed exceptionally well, and this year the iPhone 11 claims that it gives you an hour more on top of that XR. Similarly, the Pro provides 4 hours more than last year's 10s, and the Pro Max provides 5 hours more than last year's 10s Max. Battery life has definitely increased in all the 2019 models, but even with the Series 8 or the 10R, they all have decent battery to begin with. Now just let's look at the older phones. They are still pretty powerful, gives you a choice of Touch ID or Face ID and an option of plus size, plus dual camera setup, and the price range starts from between £479 and £629. You can find a decent 2-year unlimited minutes contract from somewhere around £30 to £45 for these devices. Let's look at just the 2019 models, as the price difference between the iPhone 11 and the 11 Pros is over £300. So that extra £320 odd on the Pro models gives you the OLED screen with about 2K resolution, extra telephoto camera lens at the back, fast charger finally included in the box, which costs about £48, and an option to pay £100 more and get a bigger screen. You also get stainless steel casing instead of the aluminium one, and that's it as far as the differences are concerned. Apart from this, everything else is the same. The iPhone 11 and the Pro models get the same processor, the same cameras, and the same iOS 13. So in conclusion, if you're just looking for an entry-level iPhone to get into that Apple ecosystem, then the iPhone 8 at £479 is a very good option. It has decent camera, is water resistant, has got wireless charging, the excellent Touch ID, and also gives you the option to go plus size. If you're on a budget, then last year's 10R is still a decent option at £629 or roughly £40 a month on a 2-year contract. You get the amazing Face ID, almost full screen display, wireless charging, excellent battery life, and decent cameras on the front and the back. You just need to forget the fact that the iPhone display is not full HD, which is not that difficult considering the screen is really bright, vivid, and brilliantly calibrated. If you want to stay up to date with Apple's product launches and not spend over £1,000 for a phone, then the iPhone 11 is the one to go for. They even ditched the R from the name, making it sound more mainstream rather than a cheaper alternate version. And you get the same high-end A13 processors as the 11 Pros do. And finally, the all-expensive Pros. Currently, it doesn't get any better than these phones in the Apple world. With 2 screen size options, seamless triple camera setup, excellent battery life, excellent build quality, fast charger included in the box, and that green color which everyone is raving about. People who are just looking for an upgrade, honestly, if you have the iPhone 10 or the 10R or the 10s or 10s Max, I wouldn't recommend upgrading, as these phones are still brilliant and they all get the recent iOS 13 update that gives you a lot of cool features, and this makes your devices feel like new. If you're still on the iPhone 6 or older models, then it might be a time to think to upgrade, as 6 and older models do not get that recent iOS 13 update, and to be honest, 5-year-old phone will be pretty outdated by now. My wife still uses the iPhone 6. We just had to change the battery once and it still works fine, and Apple has released software updates, not just the iOS 13 but a general software update, so that they don't leave out the older phones, which is a good thing. So theoretically you can still keep using iPhone 6 as long as your favorite apps support that older version of operating system. On a side note, the 6S is still going pretty strong, as this gets the latest iOS 13 update. Not sure how long Apple will keep supporting this, but I think with the 6S phone you're at least good for another year. And if you're deciding between the 11 and last year's 10R, then let me see if this makes sense. The price difference is £100 or roughly £10 a month on the monthly contracts. So for that extra £100, you get an additional camera, better front-facing camera with the ability to record selfies, better battery life and a newer processor. Even if you price each of these features at £25, it looks like a decent value. So I would suggest spending that extra £100 or $100 in America and get the latest phone, unless you can find that 10R at even reduced cost. Then by all means, 10R is really a good option and you should go for it. If you have decided on getting the Pros and not sure what screen size or color to get, then see if this video footage will help. My hands are average size, not too small, not too big, and as you can see, it's really impossible to reach the top of the Pro Max with just one hand. So you need two hands usage for that. And the green color, it is definitely a personal taste. I personally love the space gray color. The white looks super cool as well, but it makes that 3 camera lenses more prominent, just bordering on the edge of that awkward trypophobia. You know, that fear of symmetrical holes and holes within holes together. So don't even get me started on that new Mac Pro. Even if someone offers that for free, I'd trade it back then and there itself. Another thing to consider, the iPhone 7 is still on sale at around £24 a month contract, or even lesser. This is really a good option and makes it ideal if you have a teenager or school-going son or daughter who needs a phone. Similar is the case with iPhone 8. You need to look out for those Christmas deals, as many third-party sellers would discount them off for the holiday season. So those are my thoughts on 2019 iPhone lineup. Hope you find this video helpful and get yourself that perfect phone to suit all your needs. Please feel free to leave your comments below, and as always, thanks a lot for staying until the end. See you in the next video. Bye for now.